Hello and welcome to this ET Now special. I'm Nayantara Rai, working from home, as is the Chairman and Managing Director of SpiceJet, Ajay Singh, joining us exclusively on ET Now. Mr. Singh, glad to see that you're healthy and safe. I hope the rest of your family and the SpiceJet team is also as healthy and safe. First up, kudos to the entire team at ET Now. You've literally been like foot soldiers in this war against coronavirus, rising to the occasion, helping with the movement of cargo as well as essential supplies. How has this lockdown been for you?
I think it's been terribly eventful. We've been working on transporting medicines and medical equipment and even foods and vegetables. And some pretty strange cargo that has been needed in this fight against the COVID virus. And we've been doing it from the first day of the lockdown. So it's been eventful. It's been very interesting. And we are very proud of our little contribution to this fight, which is being waged on so many fronts. I think what we are also extremely proud of is the way that the government has acted in this whole, episode. The speed at which they've moved, the tough decisions which they've taken, and also extremely proud of the way the citizens of India have responded to this lockdown. The terrific discipline that they've shown. I think really something to be proud of for all of us. And we all need to contribute, of course, to this fight. And I think once we are through with this, there's a terrific opportunity, because I think India has really shown the world that it can be a disciplined nation, that it can be a leader in its own right. And it can be a country which needs to be emulated by so many others. So I feel that there's always an opportunity in every adversity, and perhaps this is India's chance to show to the world that we can be a responsible, mature leader of the world.
In fact, the Prime Minister on April 13th, during his address to the nation, brought this point about that how India has fared better than developing nations, especially and developed nations, especially when it came to taking very strict measures which I'm sure would have been very uncomfortable, if not disastrous, for the aviation industry at large, Mr. Singh. Right now it's about survival, but very soon we will have to talk about revival too. It was first about Jaan Hai, but now we will talk about Jaan Hai or Jahan Bhi Hai. Mr. Singh, how do you see this aspect panning out? We have to also focus on livelihood, on business.
So certainly, you mentioned the aviation industry. The aviation industry, of course, has been the hardest hit industry in this crisis. I think all the government presentations also show, as is the case around the world, that the industry which has been the hardest hit is aviation, and I think followed by the hotel and tourism industry. So, it is what it is, and we have to, suffer through this period. We have to keep our chin up. But as in other things, there's a huge amount of short-term pain, especially for those people who perhaps are not getting the salary, getting reduced salaries, getting delayed salaries. Large amount of pain for them, and that we can never minimize. But in all of this, there will also be an opportunity for the aviation sector to relook at the way we do our business, the way that the way our costs are structured, the contracts that we have with different people around the world. India is going to be one of the markets that will probably, as a consequence of the lockdown, as a consequence of how Indians are behaving in this crisis, India is going to be one of those countries which recovers relatively faster than other countries around the world. And in this, aviation will remain exceedingly important. India was the fastest growing aviation country in the world. We believe that despite this crisis, aviation will start to pick up sooner rather than later. And with just 3% of Indians flying, there's no question that India will be a growing market. So we have an opportunity today to go to manufacturers of aircraft, to go to suppliers of services, to go to airports around the world, to go to countries and renegotiate the arrangements that we have with them, given the fact that we are such a large domestic market, as opposed to several airlines around the world which are really based on connecting traffic. So if you look at the Middle East carriers, they're based on connecting traffic from one market to the other, whereas we have a strong domestic market of our own, which is something that we need to leverage.
And have we already started seeing that if renegotiations of contracts is going to be so important for survival? I don't think India can afford another airline going down. And I'm, being very blunt by saying this. We're still recovering from, for example, the jet fiasco. Mr. Singh, are you seeing the government of India pull its weight behind the airlines? Are all of you, from the top management, promoters of airlines, getting together, going to global companies, seeking renegotiation? Are we seeing coordinated action?
In terms of going to foreign suppliers and manufacturers, I think that is for every company to do by themselves. But certainly in terms of our representations to government and trying to ensure that that we do get some government assistance, we are all in this together, and there are several discussions which are happening between the airline managers and owners and with the government as well.
I don't expect you to tell us what's coming. That only the government will know. We're still waiting for the second economic package. We don't know the contours or the shape of the second economic package, but the absence of that, the first one was, of course, on 26th of March. The Prime Minister, in his public address, has also made an appeal that please keep jobs, don't announce pay cuts. But, is that a reasonable request? We all have to do business with a heart and at the same time do business without a heart. I'm sure you're feeling like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Oh, it's extremely difficult. It's very difficult. But on our part, what we are trying to do is to respect, the Prime Minister's views and the government's views, and try and retain people in their jobs. In some cases, we are doing leave without pay, but we are ensuring that people stay on the rolls of the airline. How long we can keep this up is something we have to see, but we'll do our best. And rightly so, the government is concerned about those who are at the lowest point in the chain, and of course, rightly so, the government's first package really focused on those people who need to make a living on a day-to-day basis, people who you need basic survival, food and shelter and so on and so forth. So of course, attention needs to be paid to them first before it is paid to industry. But of course, as industry, we play a role in providing employment and in moving goods and people, all of which is important as we start Jahan Bhi or Jahan Bhi.
And for that, Mr. Ajay Singh, how's it going to happen? If I just look at global packages, look what the United States has done: $2.3 trillion stimulus, a huge outlay for airlines. Lufthansa getting an $8 billion lifeline from the government of Germany. Singapore Airlines, $13 billion. I don't know if the Indian government has access to that kind of money to protect the airlines, or do you think the Indian case is also unique, like you said, because we're not just a connecting hub, where a lot of the pain will have to be borne by the airlines?
I don't expect that the government of India will provide the resources of the sort that Singapore or Germany or the United States has provided. We do hope that we can get some help so that we can survive through this crisis. And after that, it's up to us to ensure that we become strong by ourselves and we are able to compete with the carriers you just named. What happens is that countries like those in the Gulf or in Europe or in the Far East support their airlines and treat them as strategic assets, which they use. and it's time that India did the same. So why should it be that Indian passengers need to go to hubs like those in the Middle East or those in the Far East, and then travel from there to Europe and to the United States? India is a large enough country. We are a proud country. We need to ensure that we create our own global hubs, and people need to transit from here to different parts of the world. This has been a long-standing dream of Indian aviation and of our country. Similarly, in terms of let's say MRO facilities, why should we send our aircraft for repair to different parts of the world? We have the manpower, we have the resources, we can set up facilities here, and we need to be dependent on ourselves. We need to create models in aviation which are low cost, where Indian carriers can effectively then go and compete with airlines around the world. There's little reason why we should still keep paying such high taxes on aviation turbine fuel. If we want to compete with those around the world, we should get a level playing field, and we've shown that Indian aviation can do wonders. There's absolutely no reason why.
That's the biggest ask by the industry to the government. They've always treated, of course, Air India strategically in that sense. But is that the biggest ask, that allow India to become the biggest global hub that can lead the revival, that can create the demand, maybe also support hospitality and a level playing field when it comes to excise duties and other tax and levies? Is that the ask?
Absolutely. I think India always reforms in a crisis, and so we should use this crisis to make structural change, and getting aviation turbine fuel under the GST regime is something that we've asked for forever, and this needs to be done. We also need to relook at some other anomalies that we have. In terms of look at the way we auction our airports. We give it to the person who gives the highest amount of money to Airport Authority of India. Now, when you do that, the airports in turn then auction the right to a service, for example, ground handling or check-in facility or just baggage screening to the highest bidder as well. So now, when you give that to the highest bidder, then the highest bidder charges the highest amount of money possible from the airlines, which has little or no bearing on the actual cost of the service. So all these are anomalies, and these are structural problems in Indian aviation, and we need to certainly fix them.
Do you think all the Indian carriers will survive, Mr. Singh? That's, of course, something that a lot of us talk about, right?
I certainly hope so. I think that government is quite keen to see that there are no more aviation failures. Of course, they will have to take a call on how they proceed with the Air India disinvestment. That is going to be a challenge for them right now. Of course, having said that, I must also say that Air India has done a fabulous job. Look at what they've done in terms of extraction of our people from different parts of the world, and the efforts that they are making towards in all these relief efforts that we have. So we should be proud of them. But certainly it will be a challenge.
I think you're being very conservative calling it a challenge. Wouldn't it be a no-brainer that it'll have to be deferred?
I don't know, but yeah, it certainly looks like the way the aviation business is around the world at this time. This is the single most challenging time for aviation ever in the history of Indian global aviation. So it certainly is a big challenge.
Mr. Ajay Singh, if I could also now just ask you about the fact that you tell us. First there was an expectation that maybe the flights will open up on 15th of April. Bookings had been taken. There was a bus, and maybe only one passenger per row would be allowed to sit, and there would be social distancing that would be followed. Now it turns out that it's not going to happen at least till the 3rd of May. That's official. Do you have any understanding when the Indian skies will open up?
I don't think anybody has any understanding, to be honest. It'll really depend upon how the infections now increase or reduce over the next 15 or 20 days. And based on that, I suppose the government will take a call. I think what is most important is to ensure that we keep our infections down. So we've always supported government's moves to lockdown, and we will continue to support this. It is really, I mean, the government has done such a fabulous job. It is not for us to second guess them. They will decide, when this is to happen, and it will certainly depend upon, the numbers going forward. I don't think even the government knows at this time what's going to happen on the 3rd of May.
So did you laugh when you saw those newspaper reports about how it will be one person per row? All of you keep saying that, even passenger load factor of 60%, 70% is never good for business.
Yeah. So the airlines are in a situation where sometimes 85 or 90% load factors also don't make us money because of the structure that we have around us. So to say that, look, you fly with 66% and it will be very difficult to fly profitably if restrictions of this sort come in. In some cases, if you have a 2x2 kind of seating, which is true of the smaller aircraft, then you'll be flying at 50% load factor. So if that is to happen, of course, aviation will not be viable and there won't be very many flights. I think government will have to find a way to reduce on the cost side some of our costs if this is to really happen, or else people will fly only those flights which are making some money.
Mr. Ajay Singh, it's not even a case of no money coming in. You guys must have also had to give refunds or defer tickets that had been booked. So there would be that outflow as well, deferment, rollover to the new financial year. That must have been very challenging. And now you've got this new quandary because the private airlines were told you can take bookings from 14th of April onwards, but now they can't fly till 3rd of May. It only must have added to chaos. Social media is angry that they're not getting refunds. How are you managing all of this?
I think all we can do is to be transparent. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. Now, if we stop taking bookings 4th May on, and then the government says, okay, now you can start flying on the 4th of May, you would be in a situation where you would be forced to fly empty planes. It should be a complete disaster. So we have to keep bookings open. All we can do is to be straightforward and honest and say, look, we are taking these bookings 4th May onwards. We don't know what the facts are. If the lockdown gets extended further, we will create a credit shell for you. That's all we can do. Because at this point, nobody, not us, not the government, nobody knows what is to happen. Now, for example, look at international bookings. It seems pretty clear that there will not be international flying for a period of time, but we don't know what the date is. Is it going to be 15th of May? Is it going to be 15th of June? Or is it going to be even 15th of July? Nobody knows. Now, should people stop taking bookings? If you stop taking bookings, what will happen is that the international carriers will keep taking bookings into and out of India. And then suddenly one day there will be a date where government will decide, okay, now it's fine to fly to this country. The Indian carriers will have no bookings. Whatever bookings there are will be on the international carriers. And then again we'll be in a very strange situation. So all we can do is that we have to take bookings, and we have to do it as transparently and as honestly as possible. And we have to take some abuse on social media. What else can we do?
Part of business, I guess, the way you're saying it. What else can you do? So you basically, what's your message to consumers? That we are being transparent. If you have a booking, we'll pay it forward. We'll create a credit line. Is that it?
Look, absolutely. And also that, we will do our best to try and get people from one place to the other as soon as we can and as safely as we can. We are taking a whole host of measures to make sure that, this is as safe a flight as is possible. And that's all any carrier can do. Look at what is happening across the world. This is what carriers are trying to do in different parts of the world as well, because nobody really knows the answer to the question of when the flights actually start. We do hope that they can start on the 4th of May, or at least in a limited way on the 4th of May, but there is no guarantee.
Mr. Ajay Singh, at the start of the interview, you said a lot of carriers will have to relook. What is your assessment? You're such a visionary when it comes to the aviation sector. what is the future of flying? How do you think it's going to change? For example, you and I are now connected on a Zoom call. Business travel will take a hit because companies will say, hey, if you can do business over Zoom, why are you flying for meetings? Or is that just temporary? What's the future of flying according to you?
Well, I think human beings really need to interact in person eventually, and while there will be some of these issues of people saying, okay, let's do a Zoom call. Some of that will happen for sure, but how do you go and spend an evening on the beach on video? So people will go. People will go for holidays. People will go just because human beings. The basic nature of human beings is to be in close physical contact with each other, and in countries like India, especially where such a small percentage of people really fly, and where it's not always so easy to build roads and build railway lines and other such modes of transport. I would think that we might be pushed back a little bit, but the future is still extremely bright, and there will be a time when more than 10% of Indians fly in the near future.
More than 10% of Indians fly in the near future, that would be really amazing to hear. And that's exactly what this sector needs. Mr. Ajay Singh, how else do you see the future of flying? People are speculating, will there be any food available, even on long haul flights? Short haul flights, it seems like there will be no food, less cabin food. Give us some insights. How do you think it's all going to change? Is entertainment over? We'll have to carry our own tablets, etc.
I think people will try and find ways to economize, have lighter planes, have less of these heavy entertainment systems on board. I would think that at least in the short run, you will see meals going out of aircraft, and then again they'll start with the dry rations and meals all over again. Should the consumers really want it? But certainly there will be changes in the way airlines operate. I think a lot of the costs that we've built in terms of hotel costs for our crew, in terms of having them sending transport for them, all sorts of costs that have been built over time, and actually started with full service airlines like Air India and Jet Airways and things which were replicated by other carriers. Some of those will have to be rethought of and redone, and I think there will be more collaboration between airlines. That's for sure. It's not that it's only my aircraft versus your aircraft. There will be more collaboration. I think that will happen. We will depend much more on technology. Of that, there is no doubt. There's going to be much more automation, and there is going to be, like you said, on entertainment. People will largely use their own devices in coming times. So lots of new stuff. I think also there'll be a shift towards better technology on aircraft. This electric aircraft, at least for short haul flying, might actually become reality, and drones for private transport at some point that has to become reality as well. It's all these crises actually leads to an acceleration of technology, and some of this is going to happen. I think on transport, on cargo, there will be much more of air cargo than there was in the past. People have realized the efficiency of air cargo, the speed at which this can move, the flexibility with which it can move from pretty much from any point to any point at all, and you'll see much more of air cargo happening as well.
In fact, speaking of air cargo, Mr. Ajay Singh, Spicejет flying to India's rescue, made a maiden flight to China, debuted that to bring in supplies. You want to tell us about that and the rescue efforts literally carried out by Spicejet when it comes to cargo in recent times?
Well, we are playing a small part in what is, of course, a much larger mission for the country at this time. But we are happy that we have 5 freighter aircraft and some passenger aircraft that we've deployed for cargo as well. We have been, since the day of the lockdown, taking an increasing amount of relief material flying it from Hong Kong into India, from Singapore into India. Now from China, today was our very first flight into China. And so a lot of material will come from China into India as well. We've flown, of course, COVID positive patients for quarantine, people who came back from Iran. They were to be taken for quarantine to Jodhpur. We've had a special flight just to fly one single hazmat suit, which needed to be replicated by the government from Delhi. That had to go to Coimbatore. There was no other way of getting the suit from Delhi to Coimbatore but by sending it by air. And we sent an aircraft specially just carrying that one single suit so that it could be replicated. We've tried to help farmers get their produce to the market, help them export it to the Middle East and to Thailand and other such places. So, it's been absolutely fabulous. We are so grateful that we've had an opportunity to help, and over the next few months, we'll continue to do this.
In fact, we've really seen industry rise to the occasion, and certainly SpiceJet has been one of them. Like you're saying, a full plane to Coimbatore with just one suit. Mr. Ajay Singh, but it must have been a very harrowing time for you personally. You have so much riding on your shoulders. You have to worry about your family, you have to worry about thousands of employees that you're responsible for. What have you done, if I could ask you personally, to keep your morale up, as well as the morale for the entire SpiceJet family?
Look, I'm an optimist. And as far as the SpiceJet family is concerned, we've seen worse times than this. We came back from a closure in 2014 when nobody gave us any chance at all of being able to come back and fly again. So the SpiceJet family is very strong, very determined, and very passionate. And, I have absolutely no doubt that we'll come back stronger. We look at every adversity as an opportunity. That is the DNA of SpiceJet. And we will find ways to make this adversity work for us and in our favor. And we will be a stronger airline in the years to come.
And on that very optimistic note, Mr. Ajay Singh, thank you so much for joining us here in ET Now. And from the entire ET Now team, kudos to SpiceJet, kudos to you. You've literally been like foot soldiers and rising to the occasion, literally, carrying out rescue efforts on behalf of the country. Many thanks for giving us your time.
Thank you.